Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with the very first thing I've purchased from Toys R Us since it went out of business a few years ago. Yes, that's right, Toys R Us is back, and you might actually have one in your area if you live near any Macy's, because it is Macy's that has apparently revived the brand by... well, in my case, I went to the 34th Street Macy's where half of the 7th floor, which is normally children's stuff anyway, has been turned into a Toys R Us. And since the 34th Street Macy's is so gigantic, it is, you know, the Macy's from the famous movie Miracle on 34th Street, and where they have the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade every year, that, yes, I happen to live, that happens to be my Macy's, you know, the Toys R Us section in there is actually almost as big as a regular store would be. So yeah, my very first purchase in there was the Sonic the Hedgehog Eggmobile Battle Set. This set normally retails for $40, but they were having a sale, so I got it for $32. Hooray! So, if you ask me what the most iconic vehicle in Sonic the Hedgehog fiction is, it's this. It's the Eggmobile. Dr. Robotnik's little Eggomatic hovercraft is what I would sometimes call it. Almost pretty much every version of Dr. Robotnik or Eggman has used this machine. Like in the most recent Sonic Boom cartoon, in all of the DiC cartoons, except I think in Sonic Underground. I don't remember having one of these in Sonic Underground. The Saturday morning cartoon had other vehicles that homage this device, even if it didn't appear personally. But even Jim Carrey in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies had this machine in the sequel. So, there we go. Okay, you've seen the front of the box for long enough. Let's just take a quick look at the sides. The sides show the action features that this thing does, as well as pictures of the various configurations it's able to take. The back of the box just has more of that, but bigger, including a setup showing what's inside the box, including the armature, the figures, all that good stuff. And the side just has a big old picture of classic Sonic. So, that being said, let's open up this box and see what is actually in there. So here's the answer to what is in there. A lot of stuff. It looks like they all... I think if you wanted to, you could have put this all into a smaller box, but I think it's all packed in such a way that nothing is, like, on top of itself, so that as the box gets shaken around, nothing will bang into itself, and, you know, this is all packaged in such a way that it won't get damaged, is what I'm trying to get at. It also comes with an instruction sheet. Yes. Instructions on how to assemble everything and stuff. Yep. And if I could just unfold this darn thing, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Parts list so you know where everything is. Yep. So let's unravel all of this packing material and take a look at what's what. One quick pan down. Like that's it. That's the hovercraft itself. So like that's the vehicle itself, and then all of that is bits. All of that is upgrade bits. Okay, so now that I got the box open and everything extracted, let's take a look at the packaging. The heart and soul of the set is right here. The Eggmobile itself, along with figures of classic Dr. Eggman, or Robotnik as you might want to call him in this case, and another variant of the classic Sonic figure. Now, I actually kind of like this variant. He's not in such a pre-assumed pose that it's difficult to get him into other poses, and he has this really nice defiant look. He has like a frown, and his eyes are really sharp and determined. Like, this is a Sonic that's ready to fight. Yeah, I like this a lot better than the grimacing look that the Chili Dog Sonic had, or like the original classic Sonic figure. And it is a very good variant to the Sonic that came, the Flying Battery Zone Sonic, I want to call it, I guess. He has two holding thing hands, so if you have rings, you can put them in there. That's great. And he has all the posability, universal shoulders, universal hips. His foot is ankle. His foot might be angled slightly a little bit off, but you know, it's still pretty good. And he has a neck swivel. And like, you know what this reminds me of? If you ever played Sonic CD, at the very end, like Sonic takes on this pose where he like puts his arms up like this, and he kind of leans forward into the camera, like, yeah, like it kind of, yeah, kind of like this, like it's this pose from Sonic CD. I mean, of course, the animation style they choose for the Sonic CD cutscenes, like, you know, like physically can't exist because the arms and legs literally rubber hose themselves around. But yeah, I've never had a classic Eggman figure in this scale. Why would you even bother to buy these things separately? They just keep on coming packed in with other things. He has a swivel head. His shoulders move. Hands do not move, although funnily enough, when I was getting it out of the package, something caused me to pop out the left hand, well, the right hand, camera left. And yeah, like, this could have been a mushroom cap for a swivel joint, but it is not. It is simply a peg, frictions into place. And he has universal legs, and I do like how they made cuts into his body so that he could actually get his arms around. Like there's a cut here in the side that his arm will settle into, so his arm can go on the side. Like, let's see, if it wasn't for that cut, his arm would be stuck at this. I'm gonna have to glue that back in because it keeps wanting to fall out. So yeah, like they cut into the torso, and if it wasn't for these cuts on his front, then his legs would probably only be able to go this far. But now he can go into a full-on sit, which is good because you kind of need a full-on sit to get into your vehicle, don't you? So there is, this thing is a little spring-loaded button. I think that's for an ejection gimmick, and I think the gray plastic they use is okay. It's nice and pearlescent, but it doesn't quite look metallic. I feel like this could have been serviced better if it was a proper silver metal instead of just being cast in this pearlescent gray. That's my opinion. And the details all seem to be there. The only thing that kind of breaks it up are the holes that are necessary for plugging all kinds of other things in, but you know what you're gonna do. Let's see. Oh, there's a steering wheel on the inside, and it does turn, so yeah. I don't think Dr. Eggman is actually going to be able to touch the steering wheel, but it's nice to know that it's there. And you can just kind of plunk Dr. Eggman into his little vehicle. Wait, I think it would be better if I put his... Okay, if that happens one more time, I'm pausing this recording and taking my crazy glue out. Let's see. Yes. You can put his arms forward so that he's... You know, that actually looks straight out of the video game, really. Yeah, not bad at all. A lot more complete than the Sonic Boom version, which was open in the back and the figure just kind of stood in there. Although, oh my god, what is with that? That is tampographed on there. It has texture. Ugh, it's ugly. Why is it there? I mean, they couldn't have hidden that a little better? But yeah, now let's talk about Bert's. Let's see, there is a big old propeller. This is nice and wide. There are rocket thruster accessories, fire, things that you plug in, giant hammers. Amy Rose got nothing on this thing. A big translucent stand, a base, the checker wrecker, all kinds of stuff. So why don't we start varying this up, see what kinds of things this can turn into. Let's start with the most basic thing. Let's start with a simple demonstration of the mechanism play. That's what the instructions call it. The windscreen is actually a button. When you push it down, it ejects Dr. Robotnik from his seat. That's what this thing in the bottom is. It's the ejection trigger. That looks painful. But whoop. Yeah, that's basically what that's basically the gimmick of what it does. But let's see what this gimmick does when there's like a whole bunch of stuff plugged into the thing. Okay, first and foremost is the basic stand. You get this really cool base, and they made it out of a nice translucent plastic. It can be put together and disassembled. That's good for, you know, storage. And the stand is articulated. There's an arm here that goes side to side, and it goes back and forth. Well, it goes back, but it doesn't go forth that much. There's actually a stop right there. So you can actually kind of tilt the thing. Woo. And the Eggmobile plugs in right there. And it's from here that you can start to attach stuff. So let's go with like the most simple basic thing you can put on there. The Checker Wrecker. Like that iconic very first thing that he ever used as a weapon against Sonic. Look at that. It plugs in simply to the bottom of the thing. And it swings around. It's a very, very basic little thing that we're setting up here. Nothing too fancy. The ball itself is a little smaller than Sonic, so it's not quite to scale with the video game, but what you're going to do. And of course, like I said about the gimmick, when you push that windshield down, not only does it trigger the ejector seat, it also pops off whatever weapon you have plugged in. So the Checker Wrecker is nice and simple. Like I said, it's one of the very first things we did. So let's do some other stuff. Let's try the other configurations. Okay, so here is what the instructions call the Egg Digger. I kind of forget which boss fight this is. I remember there being the drill weapons used several times in many games. I just don't specifically remember when he took on this particular form. Anyway, the drills can rotate, so you can have him facing the camera as his drills go down. Is this from Sonic 3? Is this from like Marble Zone? Not Marble Zone, like the... what was the Ruins level? The one that came after Hydro City? Oh god, I'm terrible. I should have done my research before this, but yeah, like I'm sure you guys in the comments will be able to point out where all these boss configurations make their appearance. But yeah, you can plug in those little fire effects on the back and on this thing that attaches to the bottom. Well, it's funny how this thing kind of free spins down there. The drills turn, but they don't spin. They're around there kind of tight. But you know, this is more for decoration than anything else. And yeah, the new bits that you plug into it look pretty good. Like they blend in and they clip really well into place, and they just look like they're meant to be there. All the extra pipes and everything, it just fits. I mean, like, you could take this fire effect out of the back and put it back on the stand, so you could still display it in this mode if you wanted, and that's cool. So, you know what we gotta do? We gotta hit the button, and... it looks like everything pops off pretty cleanly except for this part. Yeah. I can't... Huh. Wow, this last piece is on there pretty good. Hold on, let me do this off camera. Okay, so it turns out that this bit here actually isn't spring-loaded. It just kind of, like, clips in and out. And, I had the thing coming in and out so easily off camera. Now that I'm on camera, it seems to be cemented into place. What? There we go. Yeah, so you see, like however this clip thing works back here, it doesn't seem to be connected to the spring gimmick that launches everything else off. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, like, if Eggman has to accommodate that spring launching gimmick, does he actually fit securely in there? And the answer is yes. He's very secure. He is not gonna fall out. Although it is kind of weird how the best way to make the mechanism work is to have him with his arms at his sides like this. Because, like, when you put his arms forward, that's better for display purposes, but then they kind of get caught in the windshield so he won't eject properly. So, you know, display ability versus playability. Now, the egg copter mode, like, is this actually from a boss? As I recall, like, in Emerald Hill Zone in Sonic 2, he had this little helicopter set up so he could fly in and then attach himself to that drill car mode that was the first boss. This wasn't a boss by itself. It's weird. And I guess I don't need the fire effect because it's a helicopter. So yeah, I mean, it looks like it has like a little cannon set up in the front, but, you know, that's not how that boss fight worked. But still, even if it is a thing from the video game, I will give them that. It's just not a standalone boss fight, not to my knowledge. And when you spring load it off, all this one does is launch off the front because, you know, in addition to ejecting Robotnik, because, well, you do not want to have an ejector seat in a helicopter. That's kind of like the best way to turn yourself into puree. It's more like Robotnik actually has a helicopter ejection seat. That's not something you want to have. But yeah, like, this may not be a standalone boss, but it is a thing from the video game, and it's a cool little attachment. I like how big and heavy this propeller actually is, and it has a good spin to it. So, yeah, it's still fantastic, don't get me wrong. And on that flight stand, this would be a great display piece as well. Whoopsie, missed a piece. Going back to drill mode real quick, I forgot to attach this thing to the top. It's just a gray piece of plastic. Maybe these things on the front could have been picked out in paint of some color, but it does like add a little bit of overhead to the drill mode. It's a minor thing. Some people might not even have noticed, but someone in the comments section brought it up, and they posted their comment before they watched the video all the way through, and now that's why I didn't edit it out in the beginning, so that you can feel foolish for having posted your comment without watching all the way. So now let's move on to the hammer form. Now, here is a hilariously specific one. I believe this is from Aquatic Ruin Zone in Sonic 2. You know, it was the boss fight where Sonic was between those two totem pole things, and then Robotnik would come through with this big silly hammer thing that would hit the top of the totem poles, and every time he hit it, arrows would shoot out, and you had to dodge the arrows, and then they would stick in the adjacent totem pole, and then you would use them as stepping stones to jump up and actually hit them. And yes, the hammer is articulated, so you can have it in bonk mode. But yeah, that's the thing. It would have been interesting if they could have found some way to rig the hammer so that it would like you would like hit a button or something and that would make it go wonk wonk, you know, instead of having to manually flex it. But I guess like at the price point that it's at with all these interchangeable bits, by the way, like, cool that you can put these fire effects in there. I guess they just figured that like, you know, it just didn't get budgeted in, is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, again, just push the button and all the bits come off, except for this one on the back, which you kind of have to manually push off. Yeah. So, that being said, this probably, like, you know, like, that's it. Like, baseline, this is your Egg-O-Matic hovercraft, or the Eggmobile, or, yeah, the Eggmobile, that's what they call it. And, it looks good. It's a great display piece, and it has lots of functionality for play. So, this is a fantastic little setup. And it comes with pretty much everything you would need, except maybe like having 4 of these things so that you can have all of the boss setups at the same time. I wonder if that's a thing that they can do. Like, if they could sell this as a separate unit later on down the line so that you can just connect all the bits. But then if they did sell this as a separate unit, would that really piss off about a bunch of people that bought the whole shebang the first time? But yeah, this is the first time that we've ever had a modular playset like this with this particular vehicle, because that is what this thing is supposed to be. It's the most modular thing. It's his personal little flight craft that stuff either attaches to it or it drops down into things, and that's how it works. The only other time that we had that was like in the Sonic Boom line, there was a variant to the hovercraft that had that base that it plugged into on the bottom, and then like it could shoot missiles, or if you hit it in a certain spot, it would blow up in a spectacular way. And I thought, hey, since you can separate the hovercraft from that base, you could actually have other stuff that it could plug into. But they never made anything else for it to plug into. This has the other stuff. So yep. However you want to play with this thing, it's all up to you. Great modularity. All of the modes look great, from the super simple, like the ones you plug in a single thing, and you can even mix and match. Like now he has a giant sledgehammer and the checker wrecker. He's indestructible. So yeah, everybody have fun with your thing. Like I said, I got this at the Toys R Us, which is the Toys R Us section of Macy's. And it's great to have Toys R Us back. And it's great to have this little Eggomatic thing. So this is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.